Mia was used to being home alone. At 18, she often watched over the house while her parents traveled for work. This time, they were gone for the weekend, and Mia was looking forward to a quiet night. She made some popcorn, curled up on the couch, and started watching her favorite thriller. The house was eerily silent except for the sound of the TV. Every so often, she heard the creaks and groans of the old wooden floors as they settled. But she told herself it was nothing, just the house. Around midnight, Mia decided to head to bed. As she climbed the stairs, her phone buzzed with a text from her mom.
How's everything? Remember to lock the back door.
Her heart sank. The back door. She'd forgotten. She rushed downstairs and bolted the door, double-checking the locks before heading back up. Lying in bed, Mia tried to shake the uneasy feeling. Just as she was drifting off, she heard a faint sound. It was coming from above. Mia froze. The attic. She never went up there. Her parents stored old furniture and holiday decorations in the crawl space, but it was sealed tight. The tapping continued, steady and deliberate. She grabbed her phone and dialed her best friend.
Claire, I think someone's in the attic.
Mia whispered. Claire tried to calm her, suggesting it might be an animal. Mia steeled herself and decided to investigate. She grabbed a flashlight and climbed the narrow stairs leading to the attic door. Her hand shook as she reached for the knob, but it was locked, just as it always was. Relieved, she turned to go back downstairs, but then she heard it again. This time it was louder, and it wasn't coming from the attic. It coming from her bedroom? Mia's blood ran cold. She backed away slowly, her flashlight trembling in her grip. She peered into her room from the hallway, her heart pounding. The closet door, which she always left closed, was ajar. She bolted down the stairs and out the front door, dialing 911 as she ran. The police arrived within minutes. When they entered the house, they found the back door lock had been tampered with. And in the closet, a man was crouched inside, clutching a knife. He had been living in the attic for days, sneaking down to steal food when Mia wasn't looking.
Anna was home alone for the weekend while her parents attended a wedding out of state. She loved the quiet until her landline phone started ringing.
Hello?
She answered, but no one spoke, just static. She shrugged it off as a prank and hung up. But the calls kept coming. Every 20 minutes, the same static. By the third call, Anna was fed up.
Who is this?
She demanded. This time there was a faint chuckle, then silence. Her chest tightened. She called the phone company to trace the number. They promised to investigate and told her not to worry. But just as she hung up, the phone rang again. She didn't answer. Instead, she texted her friend Sarah to come over. Sarah replied,
"Be there in 10 minutes.
Relieved, Anna turned off the lights and waited by the window. When headlights appeared in the driveway, Anna ran to the door to greet Sarah. But when she opened it, the driveway was empty. The headlights she'd seen weren't outside. They were reflecting off the glass window from inside the house.
Jason had always been paranoid about locking doors and windows before going to bed. That night was no different. He triple-checked the locks before climbing into bed. Around 2 a.m., a faint sound woke him up, a soft creak like the groan of a floorboard. He sat up, heart racing, and listened intently. Silence. Jason tried to convince himself it was just the house settling, but his instincts told him otherwise. Grabbing his phone, he activated the flashlight and scanned the room. Nothing. He ventured out into the hallway, checking each room as he went. Living room? Empty. Kitchen? Empty. The windows were all still locked. Relieved, he headed back to his bedroom. That's when he noticed it. The window in his room was wide open. Jason froze. He was certain he'd locked it. The curtains billowed slightly in the breeze. Slowly, he approached, his flashlight trembling in his hand. As he reached the window, he saw it. A faint handprint on the glass, fresh and glistening in the moonlight. Panicked, Jason spun around, his flashlight sweeping the room. He was alone. But then, from under the bed, he heard a faint whisper.
You should not have checked.
Ella hated her basement. It was old, dark, and the single light bulb hanging from the ceiling flickered constantly. But when the power went out one stormy evening, she had no choice but to venture downstairs to check the circuit breaker. With her flashlight in hand, she descended the creaky wooden stairs. Each step echoed ominously. She found the breaker box and flipped the switches. Relief washed over her as the lights in the house came back on. As she turned to leave, her flashlight caught something odd. A small, dusty shoe print on the basement floor. It wasn't hers. Her chest tightened as she realized the shoe prints led to a corner of the basement where an old storage cabinet stood. The cabinet door was slightly ajar. Heart pounding, Ella approached it. Her shaking hand reached for the handle, but she stopped short when she heard it, a faint rustling inside. He dropped the flashlight and bolted upstairs, slamming the basement door behind her. She locked it and called the police. When they arrived, they found the basement empty except for the cabinet. Inside was a nest of blankets, food wrappers, and a notebook filled with pages of incoherent scrawls. At the bottom of the last page, in jagged writing, were the words,
"She hasn't seen me yet."
Mark lived in a secluded house in the woods, miles away from neighbors. On this particular night, he was alone, relaxing in the living room. The large picture window gave him a view of the moonlit forest, but the darkness outside always unnerved him. As he sat scrolling through his phone, he felt an odd sensation, like he was being watched. He glanced at the window, but nothing was there. Shaking it off, he returned to his phone. A few minutes later, the feeling returned, stronger this time. Mark turned off the lamp, plunging the room into darkness, and peered out the window. At first, he saw nothing but trees and shadows. Then he saw it, a pale, human-like face pressed against the glass. Its mouth twisted into a grin as it realized he had spotted it. Mark stumbled backward, grabbing his phone to call for help. By the time he looked back at the window, the face was gone. He locked every door and window, grabbed a knife from the kitchen, and hid in the bathroom. Minutes passed like hours as he waited for the police to arrive. And when they finally did, they found no sign of anyone outside, but as they searched the property, they discovered something horrifying. Muddy footprints leading up to every window of the house. Each window except the bathroom where Mark had been hiding.